Hi everyone, I'm Aideen T. Finnola. I'm a Martha Beck trained life coach, a public speaker, and an author of my memoir, which is entitled My Exquisite Purple Life, Insights from a Woman Who Never Should Have Made It But Did. Thank you so much for joining me for another segment of my video blog. And today I want to talk about something that I often hear from my coaching clients. And oftentimes the question that I hear from my coaching clients is, why am I so negative? Why is it so hard for me to be positive? And it's interesting because I think so many of us, it's very rare that I cross paths with someone who is just naturally always positive and upbeat and has the glass half full perspective on life. It's more often that people struggle with negativity, right? And then we add in a double layer of negativity when we criticize ourselves for that, because we start to think like we're the only ones who are negative. And so often my clients will say to me, why am I so negative and why do I struggle with this? Well, the interesting thing is that the human brain is actually wired to be negative. So we are fighting an uphill battle when we are trying to be positive and to have a positive outlook on ourselves and on our life circumstances and to empower ourselves. So we're fighting an uphill battle. And the reason why our brains are wired to be negative, it's actually an evolutionary protection. So if you go back, think like, millennia ago when we still are animals. We always forget that, because we have indoor plumbing and we dress ourselves. But go back millennia when we were really living as animals and we were still out in the forest with the lions and the tigers and the bears. Oh my, right? So the thing is that when we were in that situation where there were predators all around us and we could end up dead at any minute. So we're walking through the forest and there's the flowers and there's the butterfly and there's the bird. Those are all the positive things. Those are not the things that we actually need to pay attention to in order to survive. What we need to pay attention to is the potential of threat. So as we're walking through the forest and there's the birds and the bees and the butterflies and all the rest of that, and then there's a snap of a twig. That's what demands our attention, because that snap of a twig could be a bear coming out to eat us, right? So we don't need to it's not important for our survival to give our attention to these positive things. And so our brains are wired to constantly be searching for the negative and to put our attention on the negative, because for millennia, this has been the way that we have survived. The other thing that our brains are wired to do is actually to come in and combat it when we are feeling happy and positive, because our brains are now remember, this is our primitive brain, right? Not our sophisticated brain, but our primitive brain, which really drives a lot of our experience. The primitive brain perceives us being happy as actually being dangerous. Because when you're out, again, millennia ago, we're out in the forest, and if we're happy and we're relaxed, that means that we're vulnerable. That means that we're not paying attention. That means that we could become easy prey. And so when you understand that our brains are actually, it's not a fair fight. It's not a 50-50 split in terms of positivity or negativity. Our brains are actually wired towards negativity, and they're wired to sabotage our own happiness and when we're feeling relaxed and happy. When you understand that, it becomes a lot less of a defect, because so often when we do go through these bouts of negativity, or if I'm really happy, feeling super confident, I'm on top of the world, and then all of a sudden this avalanche of sadness or negativity comes in, and I think, oh, what is wrong with me? You have to remember that it's not a fair fight, and it's not a defect in you. This is actually the way that your brain is wired. Now, if you're not enjoying that experience, which I understand, because I don't enjoy that experience, when I'm happy and then the negativity or the sadness comes in, I don't like that. I want to stay in the happiness, right? Because there's not actually a bear in the woods. I don't live in the woods anymore, and there's not actually a bear that's coming after me. So I don't need to be constantly vigilant, and I don't need to be worrying, and I don't need to be focusing on the negative. I want to be enjoying the positive. And so when you have that experience, remember that your brain is just doing what your brain is supposed to do, and it's really actually trying to help you. But you have a choice. And so, I had a conversation probably about a year and a half ago. I was at a networking event, and I was sitting next to this woman over lunch, and she was asking, what do I do? And I said, I'm a life coach, and, I help people reclaim their lives. And a lot of that, well, 99% of that work is reclaiming what's going on in your mind and your thoughts. And she said to me, she goes, oh, I've tried to control my thoughts. I've tried to think positively. I just can't. And I was like, okay. And then she said, well, what do you do? What do you do when your mind just continually goes to the negative thoughts and the things you don't want to think, and you try, but I said, you know what? You do the same thing you would do if a toddler were reaching for the stove. And I don't know if you've had kids or not, but I've raised 2 kids, and both of my girls, when they were little, reached for the stove just like all kids do. And they reached for the stove, and I redirected them. Then they reached for the stove again, and then I redirected them. And then they reached for the stove again, and I redirected them. And I never gave up. I never gave up, because if I had given up, they could have gotten hurt, or worse, they could have burned the house down. And so that's why I said to this woman, I said, you just keep at it. And you don't get frustrated. You don't get negative about the negativity. You don't get frustrated that your brain is doing this and it's being this way. You just know that you have the ability to redirect your brain. So you just keep at it. And eventually, just like the toddler, your brain will grow up, and it will grow into, and you can guide it into having the patterns that will create the experiences that you want in your life. So I hope you have enjoyed this little bit of insight. And I want to tell you that this is the work that I do with my clients. The people who come to me for life coaching they're people who want to reclaim their lives from really difficult experiences they've gone through, which has created a lot of negativity in their brains and negative memories of those experiences and all the rest of that. And this is the work that I do with my clients, and it's incredibly powerful work. It makes changes in their lives so quickly, and the tools and exercises and practices that I share with my clients, it empowers them and sets them on a path towards positive, happy experiences most of the time, instead of having most of the time the negative, worrisome experiences. If you are interested in that, if that is something that resonates with you, if you're thinking, oh man, I need some of that, I want to get in on that, well, head over to my website, because I offer a complimentary discovery call, which is a half-hour phone call. I'll get on the phone with you. I'll get a chance to hear what's going on with you. What is it that you want to change in your life? What parts of your life do you want to reclaim? And what ways how can I help you? And then you get a chance to ask me all the questions that you might have about life coaching, about how I work, and see if we're a good fit. So head over to my website. It's aideentfinnola.com, and you can schedule it right there on my website. Grab yourself a discovery call. I would love to connect with you, and I would love to empower you to help you reclaim your life. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me and allowing me to share my insights with you, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.